As the Dream SMP storyline has progressed over time, it's gradually gotten more and more complicated and much harder to understand from a new viewer's standpoint. Even some people who watch all the streams find it hard to understand the lore and the characters. And who can blame them? With all the concurrent storylines going on, it gets really complicated. So today, I'm going to be explaining every single member of the Dream SMP, except guests obviously, in under 30 seconds each. If you want to see a particular person, feel free to use that little scrubber at the bottom of the screen thing down below and find your favorite member, and if you do enjoy, please subscribe. I'm trying to hit 30k before 2021, and you could really help out with that goal and get that sweet YouTube rank. Thank you, seriously. Also, before we get into the video, I want to thank Ruby, who is one of my Discord mods, who really helped me to script and get the research done for this video, because I did take a little bit of a break from watching SMP content. Kind of got burned out a bit. And a little disclaimer, some of these were just so incredibly hard to get under 30 seconds. Like, I tried my best. I don't want to go too fast because then it'll be really just hard to listen to. But yeah, if they're like 2 or 3 seconds over, please don't slaughter me in the comments. I tried, I swear I tried. Anyway, let's get started. TommyInnit, a force of nature who brings chaos everywhere he goes and who's fought against everyone he has crossed paths with since the first day of joining the server. He promptly accepted Wilbur's invitation to help him start a drug empire, but settled with making a country instead. Known for getting more attached to items, discs, and pets than anyone should on this server, dragging Tubbo into every mess he gets into, and getting exiled twice now from his own country. Since he's the only person who Dream is genuinely afraid of, there were multiple attempts to break his spirits, but in the end, he'll stay reckless and disobedient, even in the face of death. Callahan. Callahan is the voiceless and faceless server admin. He usually remains neutral, combat logs during wars, and helped George build his house during the War of Manberg and Ponktopia. He may or may not be dating Alyssa, is formerly a part of Dream's faction, and often eggs people on through chat. Awesamdude. Sam is a player with immense redstone and building skill who has vast amounts of nearly every item in existence. He's been a part of the server from the very beginning, and the only person who comes close to the amount of grinding he does on the server is Technoblade, and even he can't compare. Sam does have a pretty big head start. He's neutral but doesn't hesitate to bankroll his acquaintances, and is a powerful ally to Dream, helping him construct the most secure and terrifying prison conceivable. He's also fought against the Crimson, or the Egg, from the moment it showed up, and nearly lost his life to those under its control in the process. Technoblade. This moral-bound anarchist initially joined the server to help Ponktopia as they rebelled against GeorgeSchlatt's rule. Techno was a major player in the rebellion arc, killing Tubbo at the Manberg festival and subsequently providing Ponktopia with resources for the final war with the GeorgeSchlatt administration. Then, as his allies started to form a government before his very eyes, he released 2 withers and started to massacre his old allies, leading to him being outlawed from Manberg. Techno is currently a hermit and practiced non-violence until an attempted execution by Manberg's butcher army, and he now lives in the wilderness, plotting his next move. Wilbur Soot. Wilbur is the driving force behind most of the server's scandals and came onto the server to sell drugs, but ended up creating a nation of Manberg with Tommy instead. He ruled Manberg and led the first revolution against Dream, but later lost his position as leader when he called an election and lost to the GeorgeSchlatt coalition. He and Tommy, who were exiled, then ran away and started Ponktopia to rebel against GeorgeSchlatt's government, but as the rebellion progressed, he started to doubt his role as a good guy, gave in to paranoia, and ended up betraying Ponktopia and blowing up Manberg on the 16th. Filza, his father, then logged on and killed him, but Wilbur is still on the SMP as an amnesiac, agreeable, and childlike ghost named Ghostwer. That was hard. That was so hard. That was, oh my god. Filza. Phil is one of the newest members on the SMP, but is canonically the oldest. He is the father of Wilbur, Techno, and Tommy, and was married to a Samsung fridge. He killed Wilbur out of mercy after Will blew up Manberg, and he is one of the only members of Manberg who maintains friendly ties to Technoblade, and was recently put under house arrest for the same. ConnorEatsPants. Connor joined the server directly after Manberg was blown up and was promptly killed by a skeleton. This blue Sonic man hasn't engaged in much lore on the server, although he formed his own nation after being evicted from his old house by Tommy, which forced him to create a Little Penis Land, named after a sign which was unfortunately located under. Technoblade later helped Connor gather resources after Connor expressed a distaste for the government in an effort to prepare materials for Connor's American suburban home. Connor is also considering performing an arcane ritual to try and revive GeorgeSchlatt to make him a member of LPL. JSchlatt. This maniac tornado storm of destruction first joined the server as a treat from Wilbur to Tommy, and then was promptly banned because of Twitter drama. Later, he rejoined to vouch for Ponk 2020 during the election, but ended up forming his own party out of spite, which ended up winning the election as a part of the coalition with Swag 2020. GeorgeSchlatt then became the drunk, protein-chugging ruler of Manberg and was surprisingly fair until he died of stroke on October 16th, surrounded by all those who had betrayed him. He might also have been Tubbo's father, though this is unclear. Alyssa. Alyssa is one of the server OGs, joining well before even the first Disc War, and in fact a conflict that involved Alyssa, Punz and Tommy was actually what sparked the first server-wide conflict, solidly cementing Alyssa as an influential figure in one of the most historic wars on the server. She also may be dating Callahan, though this is unclear, and unfortunately she no longer plays on the server regularly. Tubbo. Tubbo is Tommy's sidekick, who's always been a henchman to his friends. He fought bravely in the war, spied for the rebellion, and lost 2 of his lives fighting for what he believed was right. Despite his usually soft portrayal, he can also sting with his words, much like a certain black and yellow animal. He was in a hard spot after his newly reclaimed country was blown to smithereens, yet he refused to give up and made it his goal to remake L'Manberg into a safe place for all, different to the cliquey criminal hideaway it used to be. Sadly, his best friend Tommy didn't have the same vision, as well as zero respect for Tubbo's decisions, which led the newest president of L'Manberg to exile Tommy and momentarily get called a tyrant by his citizens. He has now regained favour amongst most L'Manbergians, however. Dream. Dream is the creator of the SMP, who hasn't streamed since the First War and who never truly seems to belong to any side, and yet to all at once. The destruction he invokes from the sidelines causes chaos, and Dream always manages to gain power from the turmoil he creates. Known to be a genius strategic mind as well as scary in battle, Dream cut all emotional ties with everything and everyone when Tommy blackmailed him and almost stripped him of his dignity. In retaliation, he isolated and manipulated the child to the point of crippling depression, as you do. His goal is to have no nations but to have everyone to abide by the same rules, and he's also currently building a giant inescapable prison and probably has more tricks up his sleeve than anyone expects. George. One of the first members of the server, war veteran and a past member of Dream's army, known for being both British and colourblind. Pick a struggle, am I right? Took part in the first L'Manberg election but didn't come to the election rallies, announcement day or any important event after, just building a house while Punktopia rebelled against JSchlatt. He had his house destroyed and got stripped of his extremely brief kingship bestowed upon him by Dream, who dethroned Eret, before deciding he'd throw a fit, helping Quackity commit terrorism, blowing up Karl and blaming Eret out of pettiness. He's currently a part of El Rapids, oblivious to the fact that it's very obviously a terrorist group led by a hitman, Sapnap, a chaotic pyromaniac who constantly changes loyalties. He used to be a member of Dream's forces, but has been a rogue with no regards to good and evil ever since the First War ended. He enjoys playing Russian roulette with foxes and is infamous for his tendencies to go on murder sprees for fun, seeming to target loved pets and killing them both unintentionally and intentionally. Sapnap left Dream's side after his friend deemed everything except the discs worthless to him, joining El Rapids and fighting to get George's kingship back, as through everything he remains protective of his friends. Ponk. DropsByPonk is mostly a build-focused player on the server, and he doesn't participate in many big wars. He has, however, still managed to get his lemon tree burnt down by both Tubbo and Sapnap, with the latter being the main cause for the first Disc War. One of his signature traits is killing cats, and by advising JSchlatt to kill cats, he's earned infamy in the ranks of the Badlands, and caused them to turn against the tyrant. He often tries to bribe people to punch cats, since he harbors such a strange hatred for them, probably stemming from his allergy to cat fur. This issue has only escalated with the addition of Antfrost to the server, as he's tried to kill him multiple times now because of his cat skin. BadBoyHalo. Bad is an OG on the server and great friends with Skeppy, and is most well known for his dislike of profanity and vulgar language in general. After Skeppy gained control of one of the discs, BadBoyHalo decided to try and use the leverage they had in order to take over the server. He's shown disinterest in other factions and distaste in the way they tend to drag neutrals into their mess, constantly causing conflict and destruction. He created a new faction, the Badlands, which is meant to rule over all land that is currently unclaimed, and had an idea to build up a massive obsidian wall around all the other factions, which Dream proceeded to plagiarize soon after. Bad has tried to strike up a deal with El Rapids, however they turned him down after he refused to accept a compromise, which entailed joining the fight against Dream in exchange for only half the server's land because Bad wanted it all. Punz. Punz is the one loyal and unquestionable member of Dream's army. He's always been loyal to him as a leader, but only for the reward. He often fights alongside Dream, such as in the War on the 16th, is trusted with secrets, and does jobs such as Eret's escort after he was dethroned. He also distracted the Butcher army to let Technoblade escape and let Dream go unseen. He claims he does it because Dreams pays him, and though the currency is just diamond blocks, it's enough for him to act as a knight for Dream's kingdom. Fundy. Fundy is the son of Wilbur Soot, the creator of L'Manberg, and so he's always been expected to be loyal to his country. His age and circumstances of birth are unknown, however it's claimed that his mother is a fish called Sally the Salmon. Fundy has been continually underestimated by his father, to the point where he ran against him in the election to prove his worth, and he went on to become an extremely undercover spy during JSchlatt's regime, betraying JSchlatt to join Punktopia in the final battle, and it's possible that this betrayal was what put the final nail in JSchlatt's coffin, weakening him enough for his stroke to take hold. He helped Tubbo rebuild L'Manberg after the 16th, and was adopted by Eret after his father's death, though in Eret's times of absence, Filza has also acted as a father figure to him. Purpled. Purpled is a Bed Wars player who is friends with the Dream Team and occasionally appears on the server. He excels in speed bridging and combat. He built the UFO tower where he lived for a long while before moving out to a hill near New L'Manberg. He is considered to be a part of Dream's faction, however he hasn't claimed to belong to any side of the server yet. He and Ponk are also business partners, and they've recently engaged in some shady activities to do with selling land to people, which they've already built on. without needing to pay. What? Skeppy. After trading the stolen leather remains of Dream's dead horse Spirit for one of the discs, Skeppy gained leverage and teamed up with BadBoyHalo, who showed interest in creating their own faction. Skeppy has participated in the Battle of the Lake along with Bad fighting Dream, Tommy and Techno for trying to blame him and Bad for griefing Sapnap's Eiffel Tower. They lost the battle along with their items and have shown up at both the festival and the battle afterwards, only to try and create chaos and watch the factions destroy each other. He sacrificed himself to stop the Crimson's influence on his friends and became corrupted by the Red Egg. Eret. Eret joined the L'Manberg Rebellion early on, only to realize it would only do harm if they won, and decided to betray them to Dream, with this betrayal becoming one of the most iconic events on the server, and definitively separating Eret from the L'Manberg crew. In exchange for this betrayal, Dream made Eret the king of the SMP, where he ruled from his castle, before being dethroned for not being neutral enough. In light of this, he fought for Punktopia, ready to become a citizen of New L'Manberg. This did not come to pass, however, as he was put back into power by Dream, and was then immediately attacked by El Rapides for something he had little control over. Jack Manifold. Jack Manifold, previously known as Thunder 1408, schemes often to become a villain, but somehow his plans always manage to fail. He used to be a part of L'Manberg before forming his own faction, Manifold Land, which got caught in the crossfire and was nearly burned down by Dream. In retaliation, he tried to spark conflict between Dream and Tommy, starting a war by framing Tommy, only to find out later that Tommy had already been exiled. Later, he attempted to make Tommy his enemy by stealing his girlfriend, but at this point Tommy was too numb to care, and told Jack to leave him alone, instead of yelling at him as would be expected. Niki Nihachu. Niki joined L'Manberg after the First War and has been nothing but kind to almost everyone. She got angry after Sapnap killed her and Fundy's fox, demanding an apology, but after a while she moved on and made a bakery. She ran in the elections as half of Coconut 2020 and stood up to JSchlatt after he won, resulting in her being heavily taxed and having to run away. It was also at this point that Fundy, her running mate and co-leader of Coconut 2020, seemingly betrayed her by burning out L'Manberg's flag, which led to a fallout between the two of them. After the festival and nearly being executed much like Tubbo, she joined Punktopia and fought in the battle on the 16th. Quackity. Quackity was brought on the server after a stint in Juvie and helped to set up and run a drug cartel with Tommy. He was also the head of Swag 2020 and believed that Wilbur would end up as a dictator if he won, and so in order to win, Quackity teamed up with JSchlatt. That didn't go well, so he betrayed him and joined Punktopia, and after the battle he became the sexy terrier state, I'm not making that up, and made a plan to eradicate L'Manberg's enemies, with Techno and Dream being the two people on his secret hit list. He's also the leader of El Rapides and has multiple arguments with Dream and tends to blame him for everything bad that's happened, as he does with Technoblade, leading to him recently losing a life to the two of them. Karl Jacobs. Karl is the default welcome committee of the server, taking new people and cameos alike for tours, often falsely assigning builds and acts of heroism to himself in order to impress the visitors. He's been on Dream's side since the beginning, however he is currently also a member of El Rapides and has participated in the attack on Eret's kingship. His only motivation so far has been to play an important role in the story, and I'm sure that at some point he will succeed. H-Bomb. H came onto the server the day of the election and immediately witnessed the most chaotic event there had been yet. He proceeded to make a devilishly hard parkour course, settle down in Eret's castle, and become Fundy's catmaid. He is a truly neutral member, not belonging to any faction and observing battles rather than joining them. H has also recently started a fairly successful and well-enjoyed podcast called Le Cast, where he and two contestants fish and answer random questions in a mix between a podcast and a game show, Antfrost. Antfrost is BadBoyHalo's most trusted advisor and second in command of the Badlands. After being forced to work for Tommy and Technoblade, he joined the neutral faction only to be brainwashed again, this time by a giant egg. He also notably wears a cat skin, which has led to disagreements between him and DropsByPonk. Captain Puffy. Puffy joined the server after the 16th, and after Dream followed her around like a puppy for an hour, and people call Tubbo Glingy, god, she adopted him and gave him 10 stacks of obsidian to help with the walls. Thanks to Dream's influence, he was made knight by the newly recrowned King Eret, and was sent to patrol around the castle and L'Manberg for intruders. She also notably later blew up Tommy's girlfriend with BadBoyHalo by accident. Ranboo. Ranboo was streaming Just Chatting, talking about how he would become the president of L'Manberg without ever joining the server, when Punz raided him. Dream, who was on Punz's stream, immediately whitelisted Ranboo, let him into the server, and shot him to death twice. He turned out to be an excellent role player and fit in the storyline perfectly, as he helped Tommy destroy George's house and then pretended to have memory loss. Since Tommy stood up for him, Ranboo, though a part of L'Manberg, has been loyal to him. He's also the one person who's noticing Dream's manipulation of Tommy, but is smart enough to keep quiet and try to help without getting into danger himself. Vikkstar. Vic's first appearance on the SMP was as an endorsement for POG 2020 during the L'Manberg election. He then got whitelisted along with Lazarbeam after the Pogtopia GeorgeSchlatt war and was given a tour by Karl. He and Lazarbeam, being among the oldest on the server, decided to band together and live near Purple's new house in Boomerville. Tommy has asked Vic to leave Lazarbeam and live with him multiple times before, though Vic has repeatedly declined these offers, especially after Tommy killed Lannon in an effort to get closer to Vic. He currently has one pet named Bogey and actively tries not to get involved with any conflict or war, maintaining mostly positive relations with all the other server members. Lazarbeam. Lazarbeam was whitelisted alongside Vicstar on the 23rd of November and banded together with him to form Boomerville. While Vic is a veteran at Minecraft, Laser, or Lannon, tends to mess around in-game, with more of a casual approach to the SMP. He maintains good relations with most except Tommy, who despises Lannon for stealing Vicstar from him. Tommy then later mugged and murdered Lannon in an effort to try and separate him from Vic, and though this only strengthened the Vic-Lannon friendship. Tommy then later made up with Lannon after saving him from death in the Nether, for which he was given a disc, and Lannon has also expressed his taste for L'Manberg multiple times, calling it a cult, and even wanting to move Boomerville's location when it was first being built to try and get further away from L'Manberg. Hey, you stuck around to the end, right? Here's a bonus person for you, because you deserve it. Yeah. Drista. The default, the inevitable. No lore, Twitch rules, or in-game mechanics can stand up to her, as she not only has access to creative mode and the right to use it, but the moment she logs on, people congregate as she hands out bedrock shulker boxes, nearly gives Techno and Elytra, spawns in 80 dogs, and bans Tubbo. She's like a strange, otherworldly being who can't be stopped, making her the most powerful player on the server. Thanks for watching, by the way.